Welcome back to another episode. I'm going to preface this by saying that spring has finally sprung, and that means that my allergies are in full swing, and I feel like death right now. So I am going to be going over something I barely touched in my last video. If you haven't watched that yet, it'll be right up here. And that is taking photos with a dedicated camera compared to something like your phone to improve the quality of it. So I have three cameras here: my cell phone, a Canon T6, a Canon 5D Mark II, and I'm going to be comparing three different photos of my between the three of them and just going over the quality of them. So I will just do the three photos back to back, and I'll do the cell phone first, then the Canon T6, and then the 5D. And I think showing them back to back, you're going to be able to tell that there's a slight difference between them. The larger the pixels, typically the higher quality the photo is going to be. When you compare the depth between photos, typically a smaller sensor is going to have more in focus. So on a cell phone, when you take a photo, pretty much everything is going to be in focus unless you put it in portrait mode, and then it's just going to artificially blur out the background. But when you get into crop sensors like the T6 and the full frame camera like the 5D, you're going to get that separation from the background a lot better than you will a phone, and the quality is going to be so much higher. So I am going to take those three photos that I took, and because I was talking mostly about printing your images in the last video, I'm going to go ahead and print them all 13 by 19 because that's the only paper that I have. I will show a short video of each print in comparison, and so yeah, I'm going to go do that now, and I will be back very shortly. All right, so I printed all three images, and I'll go ahead and show those while I'm talking. And honestly, the phone did so much better than I thought it was gonna be. It does look pretty decent from a distance, but when you get closer to it, you can tell it just looks very digital, and the quality isn't really there because of the smaller sensor size. And the other photos just have much more of a realness to them compared to the phone. They look better quality, but typically when you hang a print on your wall, typically the best viewing angle is going to be like further back from it. So if you're looking at all of these from 5 feet away, you're not going to be able to tell the difference. But when the bigger you blow them up, I think the more the quality is going to be more apparent between each of the three. Now, so I've got to give it to the phone. It did a lot better than I thought it would, and it kind of almost like defeated the purpose of this video, which I'm a little bit annoyed by. And the phone that I used is like 2 years old at this point, so I imagine the quality is only going to get better from here. But I do think going and buying a dedicated camera for taking photos will be better in the long run, just because that opens up this massive world of creative potential that you can't always have with a phone. Like when you buy a device like this, it has all of these different features. It can do all of these different things. And when you go and buy a phone, it's trying to do all of these things really, really well. But if you go buy a dedicated camera, it's going to be able to do most likely two things really, really well. That is take photos and take videos. So I still think there's enough reason quality-wise and potential-wise to go get a camera. I mean, both of these cameras used are around $500. And if you go buy a Canon 50mm 1.8, which is the lens I used on both of these cameras, that's only it's 125 brand new and probably around 75 to 100 used. You're gonna get a $600 setup that's gonna give you much higher quality than a cell phone will. And like I said, the creative potential that using a dedicated camera, and like there's a steep learning curve when it comes to cameras, but the more you get into it, the better you're gonna get, and the more you can start to develop those skills in photography and really learn. Whereas with a phone, you're just kind of, phones are easy. If you hand somebody a phone and tell them to take a picture, they know exactly what they're doing. So this does involve a lot more work. You can shoot JPEGs and just upload them like that. But then if you get into shooting raw images, you can like edit them and tweak them as much as you want. That is another area that a phone won't quite stack up. If you try to edit this photo that you took from from your phone, the quality is going to degrade really quickly compared to something like a dedicated camera. I hope after watching this video, I've at least like convinced you to consider getting a dedicated camera. I think in the world that we're living in right now, everybody is very, very stressed out, and having some kind of creative outlet can help dramatically improve your state of mind. And I think getting a dedicated camera is a great way to do that, and it allows you to grow with it as you learn more and more. So that's gonna be it for me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, peace.